We join the world in celebrating International Girl Child Day. Every girl child is special. It is the 11th day in the month of October 2021. We'll be reviewing stories making headlines on our international papers. I am Owolabi Tosin and I'll be reviewing papers alongside Boki Epian. Good morning, Bok.
Good morning, Tosin. How was the weekend?
Fine. I hope you had a good weekend.
I did.
Yes, let's start reviewing our papers with the Punch newspaper.
On the Punch newspaper, why federal government can't remove fuel subsidy now? NNPC marketers, experts had that to say. It will be disastrous to remove subsidy without refineries working. This is coming from IPMAN. Subsidy now political matter, all Nigerians shouldering it, says ex-LCCIDG. No provision in 2022 budget, but petrol subsidy continues, declares NNPC. On budget, finance power projects gets lion shares of 1.16 trillion naira loans. Federal government to spend 44.64 billion naira on military equipment, arms and ammunition. San writes Malami threatens suits over Nigeria's 62 billion naira with oil firms. Change of guard imminent in 2021. Throw away 1999 constitution, says Bakare. And on presidency, Dokpesi backs North. Tinubu says restructuring a must. Special salary paying education students unsustainable. Greek gifts. This is coming from NPTA. Students merciless beating. Kwara orders Arabic school head suspension. Raises panel. And NDLEA raids Lagos, Oyo drug joints. Others arrest 110 dealers. The last story here says man arrested for allegedly defiling 13-year-old neighbor's daughter as wife goes for vigil. We also have a picture story here on the Joju area, Sango, along the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, Ogun State. This picture was taken yesterday, and you can see how the bad road is flooded with water and cars, vehicles flooding on it. You also have the online voter registration steps at the bottom side of the Punch front paper. You want to get details of that, do well to get the Punch newspaper and read more details of stories that interest you as well.
Thank you, Bok. Moving to the Daily Sun newspaper. 2023 presidency should be zoned to southeast, coming from Ikpeazu. Explains why regions' governments are handicapped over seats at home. Boss Mustafa SGF to chair the Sun Award. And for the big story, the federal government saying those wishing Nigerians break up will be disappointed, says country winning war against insurgency. And you can find the story in the Daily Sun newspaper, page 7. 2022 budget. Exchange rate gap to worsen deficit arbitrage. APC, PDP senators set for showdown over electoral amendments PIA bill. Opposition party lawmakers may oppose Lawan's stand. PDP begins sale of nomination forms ahead of National Convention. APC National Secretariat approve Osibanjo Mobilization Group. The news is found on page 6 and 8 of the Daily Sun newspaper. The Naira Untold story. And here the last story says Buhari will be failure if Nigeria not restructured, coming from Tunde Bakari. And that's all the news making headlines on the Daily Sun newspaper.
And up next is This Day. The big story here says Osibanjo Buhari is Nigeria's most popular, only credible leader ever. The writer here says, insists Nigeria better off united, optimistic nation will overcome challenges. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, said at the weekend in London that President Muhammadu Buhari was the only politician in Nigeria at the time with the charisma and credibility to rally the whole country behind the patriotic push to the above, to behind the behind the patriotic push to the above current challenges. Osibanjo stressed the need for Nigeria to maintain an indivisible country, assuring that its challenges would soon be overcome. The Vice President spoke during an interactive session with top officials of the Nigerian High Commission in London. The Monday interview, Fire Me. Without a doubt, I would like to think I have the requisite qualifications to be the president of Nigeria. Tinubu, only God can take my life. Gbajabiamila Sanwo-Olu Olamilekan say work has started for tax ahead. At $42 billion, external reserves hit 25 months high on Eurobond inflow. We have a picture story here on Seblat's energy transition perspective. You want to know more details of this picture story, do well to get This Day and read more details. That's all the stories making headline on This Day.
And moving to Nigerian Tribune newspaper, how Nigeria can improve maize production through AFCFTA. Autumn, Ayu split north as 8 fight for PDP chairmanship, leaving presidency ticket open in PDP, recipe for disaster, coming from Body George. How debt services, low revenue threatens 2022 budget. Investigation have shown that debt service, poor revenue outcome and lax budget implementation are going to be dragged to the realization of the 2022 budget. President Muhammadu Buhari last week, before a joint session of the National Assembly, unveiled a record of 16.39 trillion naira budget of economic growth and sustainability for 2022. But experts have expressed dismay over non-compliance with full implementation of national budget in line with existing appropriation laws. They say the implementation of the proposed 16.39 trillion naira 2022 budget may not be different, given the fact that several past budgets never realized up to 80% implementation threshold. An economist, Tope Faswa, faulted the lack of innovation in government and taking the easy way out of economic underdevelopment by relying heavily on crude oil sales and borrowings to fund annual budgets. Faswa said Nigeria is still trapped under the yoke of heavy borrowing. The budget has not gone out of the vicious circle of crude oil being the main source of revenue for this country. We are still talking about crude oil, how many barrels we can sell and how many barrels we can produce. Nigerians are waiting for the day they will be out of the box, thinking as far as our budget is concerned, where we will be able to see new thinking about revenue expectation of our budget. We have not got to that point. The way we are going now, the fear is that we may never get out of the budget deficit circle. Nigeria is the second lowest country in terms of per capita budget, meaning the federal budget is divided by the population will amount to little. We are not better than Congo. He, however, commended the federal government for presenting the budget early to the National Assembly. The Chief Executive Officer of Economic Association, Mr. Ayo Teriba, said, "It's not clear what we should make of government for presenting the budget early to the National Assembly." And Mr. Ayo Teriba said, "It's not clear what we should make of the well-established fact that interest payments on debt are perennial, consuming nearly 100% of the revenue available for the federal government of Nigeria." Still on Nigerian Tribune newspaper, while the big story is saying 2022 budget, State House operations to go up 24 billion naira. The rider 1.6 billion naira for vehicle replacement, spares, and international travels 1.53 billion naira. 400 million naira proposed for Villa Telecom infrastructure replacement, and Vice President's office gets 1.1 billion naira. Fresh controversy over Supreme Court sanctioned $62 billion oil money. Falana to sue federal government over enforcement. 15 billion naira revitalization fund strike looms in polytechnics. We are fed up with federal government non-response, says ASUP. 9 killed on Iseyin-Ibadan highway auto crash. And Keyamo Ojugbo Oboru rejects APC Ward Local Government Congress's zoning, with details in page 24. NDLEA dismantles drug joints in Lagos, Oyo, Kwara, arrest 110 dealers. And for the picture story on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Registrar General, Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, Alhaji Abubakar Garba, and the Group Managing Director, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, during the presentation of Certificate of Incorporation of NNPC Limited to the President at the State House in Abuja. And those are all the stories making headlines on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper.
Thank you, Tosin. And moving on to The Guardian. Energy crisis set to push petrol diesel prices above 350 naira per litre. More hurdles for consumers as LPG electricity prices soar. Stakeholders fear increase in poverty, food items, FX scarcity, job losses. Continuing petrol subsidy is postponing the evil day, expert warns. There are indications that the price of premium motor spirit PMS may hit 320 naira per litre later this month, as the federal government has concluded plans to remove subsidy on the product as part of the ongoing implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. Newsmen gathered that the skyrocketing oil price expected to hit $100 per barrel before the end of this year will also push prices of petroleum products to a record high and worsen the spike in price of liquefied petroleum gas. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, had last week disclosed that it spent a total of 905.27 billion naira on petrol subsidy in 8 months amid rising global oil prices. With the international oil benchmark Brent crude at $82.39 per barrel yesterday. The landing cost of imported petrol is expected to increase, jacking up pump price of petrol. The price of diesel has already skyrocketed to 350 naira per litre, an indication that may further worsen plight of local manufacturers and businesses, which largely rely on the product for power generation in the face of erratic power supply in the country. Bakare floats new movement shreds 1999 constitution. WHO UNICEF warn on worsening mental ill health in Africa. More detail of this story is on page 4 of The Guardian. Saraki cautions National Assembly against compulsory direct primaries. Tinubu reunites with associates, says only God can take his life. And on Girl Child Day, nothing to celebrate, our girls have been left behind, advocates lament. Nothing to celebrate, our girls have been left behind, advocates lament. Experts harp on improved girl-child education for national development. Groups sensitize female students on rights, self-belief, and sex education. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child (IDGC) today, child advocates in the country have lamented that there is a little to celebrate as the country ranks bottom 6 globally in child welfare and bottom 10 for girls flourishing, an index that may be exacerbated by the pandemic and cultural inhibitions of the girl child. They also warn that the country may remain underdeveloped if it fails to address the problems of marginalization, abuse, and exploitation of the girl child. They maintain that the girls should be entitled to a life free of violence and discrimination and deserve equal opportunity for access to education and health to prepare them as future leaders. These are all the stories making headline on the Guardian newspaper. You have any story that interests you, do well to get the paper and read more details, as you can also call us later on the show. Let's hear your views.
Thank you, Bok. Moving to Nigerian News Direct. Gunmen abduct Ogun youth leader, demand 30 million naira ransom. Zero emissions. Federal government warns against limiting gas development projects. Tinubu reunites with associates as Sanwo-Olu hosts APC leader. The big story, 33.3 trillion naira peak level, 65% LDR drives bank credit to private sectors. NDEPS has impacted Nigerian economy significantly, coming from Professor Issa Pantami. NCC committed to facilitating growth of e-government and others, coming from Dambata in page 16 of the Nigerian News Direct. And we have a picture story here where we can see the ex-deputy governor of Lagos State, Dr. Mrs. Oluranti Adebolu, the Speaker House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, and the Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, the APC National Leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudeshiru Obasa, and Member of the Governor Advisory Council, Tajuddin Ulusi, and other members of the State Executive Council during a welcome back event for Asiwaju Tinubu at the Lagos House Marina on Sunday, which is October 10th, 2021. And that's all the story making headlines on the Nigerian News Direct.
And up next is The Nation, the big story on CBN to banks, review loans to oil and gas, agri, other sectors. Financial market undergoing litmus test. IU's entry reshapes PDP chair's race, from sales begin today. Terrorists colluding with bandits, says federal government. MTN suspects sabotage in network outage. 3,000 youths to get film production training. And the last story here says Buhari celebrates Tanzanian Nobel Literature Prize winner Gorna. You want to get more detail of this story, do well to get The Nation newspaper, as we have two picture stories here on the front paper. You can do well to get the paper and know what the picture stories have to say. That's all the stories making headline on The Nation.
Thank you. For first newspaper, despite all, I still have faith in Nigeria, says Obasanjo. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has expressed optimism in the survival of Nigeria despite its current multifaceted challenges. The former president said this at the weekend during the formal opening of the Abeokuta window on America held at Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta of Ogun State. The Abeokuta window on America is set up in the Youth Center of OOPL in partnership with U.S. Consulate in Nigeria. The window is a type of American space located in over 150 countries worldwide, set up to engage Nigerian youth in learning about American cultures and politics. Windows on America also serves as a community resource center for accurate and current information about the political, economic, cultural, educational, and social life in the United States. Obasanjo, however, noted that whatever problem Nigeria was facing, the country will come out stronger. He noted that his faith in a better Nigeria remains unshakable. Obasanjo, in his keynote address, equally said Nigerian students studying in the U.S. crossed the 13,000 mark in the last academic year, doubling the number at the state of the decade. The former president, who was represented by Ayodele Aderinwale, the deputy chief coordinator of OOPL, said Nigerians and U.S. shared diverse cultural uniqueness. He added that at least 13,423 Nigerians currently studying in the U.S. contributed $514 million to the U.S. economy in 2016. According to official data, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are the top choices of international students, with 52% of the total study in those fields, according to the report. Still on the first newspaper, Army to court martial 158 soldiers for alleged misconduct. Nigeria set to buy 12.5 billion naira presidential jets. Bandits, terrorists to get equal treatment, says federal government. And on insecurity, friendly nations helping us out, Buhari claims. President says we are not resting on our oars. Stock market fetched investors 340 billion naira in 5 weeks. And cooking gas crisis looms as experts predict 100% increase in price. The last story on the first newspaper, Afghanistan, suicide bomber killed 55 in Shiite mosques. That's all the stories making headlines on the first newspaper.
Moving on to the Daily Independent. Banks fear e-Naira may erode profitability. As the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, puts finishing touches to the launch of digital currency, also known as e-Naira, in the country, commercial banks are ruling its implications on profitability. This is because banks make huge income from transactions and hidden charges on their e-channels. But this will change as e-Naira introduction may cut earnings, according to analysts. Besides known charges, banks in the country charge account holders indiscriminately as their Besides known charges, banks in the country charge account holders indiscriminately as there appeared to be other hidden charges that banks imposed on their customers. Such a practice was making customers helpless. They called on banks to come up with ways to address high charges on loans and other facilities they offer. Plateau local government polls, APC clears all chairmanship, councillorship positions. 308 billion naira presidency, National Assembly budgets dwarf Ministry of Powers 301 billion naira. Zoning PDP national chair position, leaving presidency open, risky. This is coming from Bode George. 1999 Constitution is glorified death certificate, says Bakari. Tinubu reunites with associates as Sanwo-Olu hosts APC leader. I returned hail hearty well, says ex-governor. Otom not responsible for insecurity, Middle Belt Forum has that to say. Petroleum tanker drivers suspend planned nationwide strike. And on 2023 presidency, Osibanjo on a coalition course with Tinubu pushes to succeed Buhari. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has his eyes firmly set on succeeding his principal, President Muhammadu Buhari, in 2023 and has already started moves to actualizing his ambition. Newsmen gathered in an exclusive. This ambition, however, may put him a coalition course with his political leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, former Lagos State Governor and national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, who nominated Osibanjo as Buhari's vice. The last story here says CAP Academy, MasterCard Foundation to train 3,000 young Nigerians in film, TV, motion production. More detail of this story is on page 29. And that's all the stories making headline on Daily Independent National Newspaper. Do well to get the paper and read more details of stories that interest you.
Thank you, Brock. Moving to the Blueprint newspaper. Ganduje approves 1.2 billion naira for Warawa Ngogo Dual Carriage Way. Gunmen attack Adamawa police station, kidnap nursing mother. Telecom shut down worsening security situation. This is coming from Katsina residents. Tucano jet deployment making the difference in terrorism fight, coming from Lai Mohammed. Suspected kidnappers have attacked Nguro police station in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State. They also attacked a house in the area and abducted a nursing mother. Police Public Relations Officer in the state, Suleiman Nguroje, confirmed the development, so the news agency of Nigeria on Sunday. Nguroje said the criminal gang attacked the station at about 2 a.m. on Sunday, but that no casualty was recorded. He said the suspected kidnappers targeted one Alhaji Umaru of Nasarawa, a resident of Onguro town in Yola South local government. The criminals separated into two groups. One attacked the police station to divert the attention of security operatives, while other group attacked Alhaji Umaru's house and kidnapped his wife, Hawa Umaru, and her daughter. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Mr. Mohammed Berde, has ordered the deployment of operational assets including police mobile force, counter-terrorism unit, and crack squad and anti-kidnapping unit to Nguroje. Nguroje explained that the operational units were expected to carry out confidence-boosting patrol within the loopholes in coordinating operations to rescue the kidnapped victim and apprehend the culprit. He said the commissioner assured that the command was committed to working with the police, and full details of that story can be found on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. Nigeria to use IMF reserve boost to fund 2022 budget. And the big story here on Dokpesi on PDP 2023. For equity, North must have PDP presidential ticket, says candidate hold ace to national unity. Convention, party begins sale of nomination, EOL forms today. Federal government striving for fairness and unity, coming from the Vice President of the nation, Yemi Osibanjo, urges diaspora Nigerians to promote peace. MBF raises the alarm on autumn, alleges planned state of emergency in Benue. Minister to school administrators, don't expel rape-impregnated girls. 20 die in Monia is saying auto crash. Still on the Blueprint newspaper for the last story, Senate summons Futo VC, lecturers over victimization of students. And that's all the story making headlines on the Blueprint newspaper.
And on the Inquirer, we have how 92 children disappeared from Abuja Orphanage. FCTA mute on the matter. 3 years after 92 children were taken from their homes in rural communities in Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, the whereabouts of the victims still remain unknown, as all inquiries to the orphanage allegedly involved their disappearance have remained unanswered. You want to get more detail on this story, do well to get the Inquirer and read details on page 3. On demolition, Lungu residents had 5 guns shot at us. This is coming from the task force. The FCT Ministerial Task Force on Sanitation has levied weighty allegations against residents of Lungu village in the Gwarimpa area of Abuja of being in possession of guns and other dangerous weapons during the demolition exercise in the area. The chairman of the task force, Ikaru Atta, accused members of the community of attacking and injuring some personnel of the task force, vowing that the illegal structures in the village would be removed no matter what. However, residents of the village have described Acha's claim as tales by moonlight, as there were no guns, talk less of shooting at members of the task force. According to Atta, 2 years ago, we suffered extreme brutality from the area. More than 50% of the development control staff suffered injuries from the attack 2 years ago. On revenue crunch, don't write off penalties, FCTA admonishes collectors. As refused dorms take over Nigeria streets, residents lament. TED Fund offers mega support to 4 agencies for drug production. Poultry feed challenges causing industry crisis. This is coming from PAN. And the last story here says Abuja residents get respite as tanker drivers suspend planned strike. It was a huge relief for residents of the Federal Capital Territory following the suspension of the planned strike action by petroleum tanker drivers, PTD. Beginning on Monday, October 11, 2021, most residents, as at Sunday morning and early afternoon, had started besieging filling stations to fill their cars as well as buy for their generating sets. We also have a picture story here. You want to know what the picture story is saying, do well to get the Inquirer and read more details of stories that interest you.
And moving to the Daily Times newspaper, FMCA kicks off workshop for media practitioners in Northeast today. The Folio Media and Creative Academy, the capacity building arms of Folio Media Group, will today kick off a 3-day critical media workshop in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, for media practitioners in northeast geopolitical zones of Nigeria. The workshop with the theme Convergence Journalism will be held at King Dakin Diplomatic Suite, Jimeta, Yola, and is sponsored by Dangote Group, the conglomerate owned by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote. It will end on October 13, 2021. The faculty of the workshop is made up of experts in the media industry. The experts are built to expose participants to new trends in the industry and skills needed to navigate effectively in post-COVID-19 period. The workshop in Yola is the 4th in the series of training hosted by FMCA for media practitioners in Nigeria. No preferential treatment between separatists and bandits coming from the federal government, says government winning war against terrorism. The federal government says there is no preferential treatment between groups advocating separation from the country and bandits, especially in the Northwest Zone. This clarification was made by the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, in an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja. The minister describing as misleading the erroneous notion that members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra were getting harder clampdown from security forces. He maintained that the federal government will continue to apply unnecessary measures, including use of the military, to prevent criminal groups from undermining the territorial integrity and peace of the country. We noticed that of recent, there is this misinformation as regards the way the federal government, especially the military, is handling the issues of banditry and terrorism. There is this misconception that the federal government is softer on the terrorists in the northeast and the bandits from the northwest, and the way they handle separatists and other criminals from the southeast and the southwest. I want to say without any hesitation that this is a fallacy. It is a misrepresentation, misinformation, and fake news all rolled into one. The truth of the matter is the federal government does not make a distinction between terrorists and bandits. As far as the federal government is concerned, they are all criminals and they are treated the same way. On the news on address reasons for agitation in Nigeria, Southeast Bishop tell federal government. Southeast Archbishop of different Christian denominations have called on the federal government to urgently address reasons for agitation in the country by restoring a national sense of belonging, equity and fairness in dealing with all segments of Nigeria. And also on politics, former INEC chairman Professor Jiga advocates electronic voting. Former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jiga, yesterday said that the constitution provision that prohibits use of technology is a militating factor against electronic voting in the country. And for business, NUPENG suspend proposed nationwide strike. The National Union of Petroleum and Gas Workers on Sunday said that the planned strike by its affiliate members, petroleum tanker drivers, have been suspended. The last story says, "Only God can take my life," coming from Tinubu. The national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have stated that only God gives and takes life. Nigerian News reports that the former Lagos State Governor stated this while speaking at an event organized to welcome him back to the country. Recall that the Jagaban has been away from the country for the past 3 months, during which time he underwent a knee surgery and physiotherapy. Speaking on Sunday, Tinubu expressed thanks to God for bringing him back to Nigeria safely. And we have a picture story on the Daily Times newspaper where we can see the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, his wife Oluremi, and APC National Leader Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the First Lady Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu during a welcoming back event for Asiwaju Tinubu at Lagos House. And that's all the story making headlines on the Daily Times newspaper.
And on Business Day, which is the last story paper we are reviewing this morning, the big story here says Buhari's insatiable appetite for debt. Bond funds surge 10 billion naira as investors hedge naira volatility, inflation. Condemnation trails reps directives to NCAA on NG Eagle. Seplat transitions to Seplat energy. Nigeria's 2022 budget, where is the money going? You want to know who is asking this question and why. Do well to get the Business Day. And the last story here says the numbers behind Nigeria's unproductive debt bins. More detail of this story is still on the Business Day. You want to know more details of the stories? Do well to get the paper and read more details, including other papers we have reviewed this morning.
Yes, but looking at the story on the Guardian newspaper, when we have the issue on Girl Child Day. In celebration of the Girl Child Day, International Girl Child Day, we know that we have so many issues surrounding the girl child. When we talk about child labor, talk about trafficking, and also forced into marriage at an early stage. We have the issue of rape and also trafficking of the girl child. In celebration of the International Girl Child Day, every girl child is special and should be treated in a special way. And we know that we have all this in our papers where we have issues where girl child are treated in a bad way. We just advocate that every girl child should be treated special. And also, we have people that have minors in their possession, in their custody, as guardians, and we see that the way they are being treated, the way they treat all this minor, all this girl child, if only it can stop, if only there can be intervention from the government and even from all the groups, the NGO that are in charge of children, looking out for children, looking out for ways children can be treated well. If they can look out in all these places, look at places where all these children are treated in the wrong way, and something should be done about it, because every child should be treated special because they are special gift from God. If every child can be treated special, then we'll look out for ways we can forge ahead. And also we see that even issue of insecurity has affected the girl child also, where we see children being kidnapped in their schools, and also we see even at home they are not free from uncles, aunties, and even landlord, tenants also, where they take advantage of all those children. Just hope that if these issues are reported, they should be treated and also handled not with levity. They should be looked at with utmost concern and be looked into. Something should be done. The law should take its full course on those who take advantage of children and those who traffic children and treat children in the wrong way. Something should be done about it. We need intervention from the government and even from all these NGOs and different groups on how they can intervene and see that every child is treated right and every child is treated special because they are special.
I agree with you on that, Tosin. You would record that Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but Africa generally, has this problem of child labor. You go to countries like Togo and see how the girl child is treated. There is an ill treatment going on in countries in Africa generally, and we can see how that the World Health Organization and UNICEF is warning on worsening of mental ill health in Africa. All of these things lead to cases like this, or health challenges like this, when you talk about how the girl child is treated in Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, Africa generally, and even the world entirely. So really, this is a call to answer. This is a call to react on. Let's have a proactive response towards the girl child in Nigeria today and how the girl child is being treated. And then looking at this story on the Punch newspaper, where we see special salary paying education students unsustainable. Really, this is what we looked at last week when we looked we commemorate with the World Teachers Day, and then we saw how that the president had promised that undergraduates in the education sector or education schools will be paid 75,000 naira, and now it is saying here on the papers today that this payment for the education students is unsustainable. Why didn't we look at all of these things, and why didn't we look at the impossibility before the president came out to promise that students or undergraduate teachers training students will be paid 75,000? These were things that we lamented on that day, and we see the outcome of this promise now coming, that there is the payment is unsustainable. Why? Because we still have growth in debt. We are still growing in debt on a daily basis, and we don't even know what the budget of 2022 beholds. Already we are thinking of how we are going to borrow to sustain the budget. And look at this story on the Business Day, which says Nigeria's 2022 budget, where is the money going? So many questions are coming up, and we're asking. We still have these questions on ground, and they're still unanswered. Where are we pumping this money to? Where are we funding this? Which sectors are we funding rather, and where is this money that we're borrowing going to, when we have promises that are unkept? We have promises coming from the federal government, from the president himself, that are unkept. Are you talking of the recent one on the graduate teachers, or we're talking on ASU that is still lamenting on its demands that have not been met? Are we talking of the resident doctors' demands that have not been met up till now? We still have so many things on ground that we are supposed to take care of, and then we are having issues of debt on a daily basis, and still on this issue of undergraduates that have been made a promise. Now we see that these people's hopes were raised last week, and today we are seeing that it is unsustainable to keep to this promise of the president that the students or the undergraduates in the teachers training schools will not be paid. Where are we headed at? These are all the things that when you check will toy with people's emotions, and at the end of the day, the issue of mental illness comes up, and we see that young people in Nigeria today, out of every 6 young Nigerians, are living with depression, and people are just dying. You see somebody walking and he falls and dies just because we have so many things ravaging our minds. We have so many things going through our minds that we don't even have a clue of, and we don't even know where the country is headed at in the issues like this. If we don't take care of people's emotions, if we don't take care of what comes out at the end of the day that will toy with people's emotion, trust me, it's not the issue of insecurity that will end the population of Nigeria. Depression alone will take care of that.
But the Bible have said it all, that we should be slow to speak. And I know that even the day we marked the International Teachers' Day, when we had those promises coming up, I said we should not be quick to give out promises, just as we keep on saying. All hopes will be high on this expectation to get this stipend to help themselves in their educational career. And now we see that the government is coming up with issues like this. It's glaring that as a country, we have so many things that are drawing us back. As a country, we are into debt. So how will we realize all this money to pay as stipends to those who are studying education? Look at now, we have ASUP. They are threatening to go on strike. Why? Because their demands have not been met. And if ASUP demand have not been met and ASU's demand have not been met, then how will you meet up to the demands of students? Look at all the sectors. They are dilapidated. All the sectors, they are running back because of what? They don't have infrastructures. They don't have the money to settle all the sectors. If when you talk about ASU and ASUP, if they are standing firm and they are moving out forward just the way they are supposed to go, if the educational sector is moving up forward, then we say that it will even help. Look at when the former president of Nigeria is talking about students helping to boost the GDP in other countries. What happened to our own educational sector? If it's of great standard and we have people coming from other countries to come and study in our country, it's not a taboo to have that done in our country. It's not a taboo to have people come to our country to study. That will help us. But we see that we have our students running to other countries to study. Why? Because the environment is conducive. The calendar is moving on well. We have our students in different universities that will stay in a particular level for 3 years. How do we go about that? And you see that different schemes will come up and you give it to a particular age grade when the sector is not moving forward, and that have backtracked the rate and the age at which people are supposed to graduate. Something needs to be done about it. Not just the educational sector, all sectors in the country. Look at the petrol now. You see the way it's increasing. Look at gas now. People cannot get gas to cook their meal. Look at insecurity. It is the order of the day. Something needs to be done about all this. If only as a country we can fight this insecurity. And the president is saying that other foreign countries are intervening in the issue of insecurity we are having in our country. If only we admit to the problem we are going through as a country and receive the advice coming from all those countries on ways we can fight insecurity, then we'll move to where we can grow as a country.
Of course, I agree with you on that, and really that we have nothing to say more than what we've said and what we have been saying. But we said we will not be tired of talking and saying the truth, and what Nigeria should look into should be what we should be looking into, not allowing some things or some issues that do not even matter at the end of the day to derail our attention from what we should be focusing on and trying to build the Nigeria of our dream.
Thank you, Bok. Any word for our viewers?
As I will always maintain, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Let's give peace a chance no matter what.
Yes, let's give peace a chance. Still in celebrating the girl child. Every girl child is special. And let's stop every form of child abuse to any child or ward around us. Have a good day and also have a blessed week.
It's Worship the King 2021, and the city of Gombe is hosting you and I. ECWA Television Africa invites you to join in worshiping the only King with the Evangel Arts Gombe, Palm Monday, Autan Zaki, Deborah Micah, Ibi Dave, Raymond Diaye, Penam Bande, Kontongs, Mizzy Adams, Fred Quada, Naomi Musa, Israel Daniel, Joe Flames, The Levites, Randy Mani, Tabitha May Gandhi, Ima Sobok, Paul Kofa, Smiling Face, AB Vocals, James Sachs, Bayila Dalaki, Gift Jeb, ECWA Gospel Band off Ashaka Road, ECWA Praise Band Gospel GRA, ECWA Praise Band Gospel Galilee Tumfre, Gospel Band ECWA OG, Dynamic Drummers. With special prayer sessions for Nigeria, Gombe State and all its top government officials, political title holders or politicians, the church, businessmen, civil servants, families, and students by the ECWA executive and the leadership of Gombe DCCs. Date for the Worship the King is Friday 15th to Saturday 16th October 2021 at ECWA Good News GRA Gombe, Gombe State, Nigeria by 2 p.m. daily with a special music minister seminar and a media training on Thursday 14th October 2021 at 10 a.m. the same venue. Spend these 2 days worshiping the King and watch what happens to you next. Worship the King Gombe 2021 is brought to you by ECWA TV Africa, Evangel Arts of ECWA and its digital marketing platform idims.com, supported by Gombe DCCs. The city of Gombe worships the King.